Hello everybody. This is my first recording. I'm going to do a little bit of a tutorial. Um, my name is Michelle, and I have done some colored pencil drawings and on different paper, and I wanted to kind of show you what you can get, kind of effects you can get. This is colored pencil paper, and it is a 100-pound paper. And whenever you're choosing your papers that you want to draw on any surface, you want to make sure that it has enough tooth to it that it's going to hold your colored pencil. If you can see, I kind of move this in the light. You can see the tooth of the paper. That's kind of what you're looking for if you're working in colored pencils. That is the 9 by 12, I believe, of the color pencil paper, and by, I think it's Strathmore. I tend to like Strathmore first because they're pretty readily available and they're pretty inexpensive. Strathmore, yeah, colored pencil paper. And in the stores you can get it at the 9 by 12 fairly easy, like at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I live here in the United States, so those are the stores that are, around my area. The lion and the lamb that I did, these were all in colored pencil. The owl that you just saw has some colored pencil and some pen and ink to it. But this was done with all colored pencil, and the background, I got it like that with using Zested. It's a colored pencil blender. But we'll get into that more later. But it's also the same kind of tooth. It's a 100-pound paper. It's just a little bit larger, and I had to order it off of Amazon because they didn't carry it locally in a larger size. And sometimes that's what you want. With the mixed media, you can use also Canson, and you can get this at, like I said, any other stores, and that was at Hobby Lobby, and it was like $15.99 for that. This is a size 9 by 12 paper, 98-pound paper, and so it's still got a pretty good tooth to it, and it's good for, multiple things, not only just colored pencils, but watercolor and pen and ink, gouache, anything that you would really like to use, wet and dry medium. This was watercolor. So watercolors, and I also use gouache too. The white is the gouache, because gouache is really thick and it'll sit on top of watercolor paintings instead of just blending into the background. So I did watercolor on that, and the tooth of the paper, just so you can kind of see it, I'll do just like I did with the other, is, I don't know if you can see it very well. Move it really slow. And that's the light. See, not as much tooth as the other, but still you can see it. So, you can also use colored toned tan is what I had bought. Also a Strathmore brand. And it came, I think, in a larger than 9 by 12 as well, but I didn't know if I was going to like the paper, so I didn't buy it in any bigger surface size sketch. So this is only 80-pound paper though, so it's not going to have the texture and the tooth to the paper to do color pencils really the justice that they should have in order to really make them shine. But that is good for graphite. And as you can see, this was a study that I did from a photo, and it was done in graphite. It took me probably, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 hours to draw this guy here. But you see the texture of the paper is really quite smooth. It's not got a lot of tooth to it at all. And that makes a big difference whenever you're using certain papers. So that's that one. The pastel I haven't had a chance to use yet, but it's Canson, and it's a 9x12 pastel brand. You can use it, of course, with pastels. It's it says right here, dual surface, offers versatility, heavy texture for pastels and other broad media. And then it's got lighter texture for soft pencils on the other side. So this, you can definitely see the tooth in it. Right off the bat, you can see it. And then on the back, see the lighter side for the textures. But right there in the front, it's very toothy. And when you rub your fingers across it, you can feel it. And I always like to feel my papers, especially whenever I'm going to go buy any of them. So I kind of get an idea of, how well my medium will hold to the paper. And this paper is, this paper is only 98 pounds. So they make different papers, different weights. And I wouldn't suggest going any less really than hardly 100-pound paper when you're doing colored pencils. The reason why I say that is that sometimes if you're heavy-handed, like I tend to be heavy-handed, you can make a mark when you're mark making through the back of your drawing, and it'll show up and possibly, tend to go through. As I did with the lion and the lamb here, I got a little bit heavy on the eye and the tree, and so on the back, you can kind of see where that would have went through if it was any lighter paper. So you got to make sure you kind of watch out for that whenever you're drawing. Make sure you have a heavy enough paper that it won't go through. I love drawing on matte board whenever I was in college, black and white. Matte board, black was my preferable choice, and one of these days I'll have to get some of those out so you guys can see the effects on the black mark board. This here also is Canson paper, but it's black, and I haven't had a chance to do a drawing on it yet. I'm just kind of showing you what's available. And it's for color pencils, gel pens, metallic markers, crayons, but it's only a 92-pound paper. So I don't know how well it's going to hold up. I did do kind of like a study on this, where I did like a flower, and I was using some white markers to do the dandelion seeds flying away, and they're on the dandelion. So that's not actually colored pencil. The colored pencil, I found out, didn't really hold up too well. And this was Prismacolor pencils that I was using. So on the paper, because of the weight of the paper, it kind of was dull. The white was dull. But on matte board, it shows up and does really well. If you get to a point where you just can't add any more white, but you want to stay, with the Prismacolors, you don't want to try to use paint or acrylic to go along with that. You can use like a Conte crayons, which is a little bit heavier crayon, to fill in the whitest of the whites. So I wanted to show you that. And as you can see, again, there's not a lot of tooth to this paper. It's very, very smooth. So, another one here is the Bristol board. And Strathmore's Bristol. It is acid-free. Acid-free is very important when you're doing work that you're going to be doing for professional work. That you're going to be selling to clients as original artwork. And the reason why I say that is that acid-free is archival, and it will last a long time without yellowing the paper or making it brittle. The pound on this is 100 pound. So 100-pound paper here once again. And you can use, on Bristol board, you can use water, gouache, ink. Even though it may say for dry media, I use both gouache on this. I like gouache because once it's set. You don't run into like with watercolors where you're going to have to re-wet it and something might smear. I don't like that, especially whenever I'm doing something very small and intricate, like the bird's head here. Like this is, for reference, this is the size of my thumb. So, you know, he's quite small. I did do some Prismacolor coloring in here, which is, this is not finished. It's a work in progress. And I'll have to show you guys this whenever I've got it all done. This was the last thing that I had started drawing, and so that's where I'm going to have to pick up again. But I just want to kind of give you guys a tutorial a little bit for the paper. And this paper actually happens to be fairly smooth. So as for picking up colored pencils on this, Prismacolor, we'll have to do a tutorial on that. I'll have to check it out and see what I think. But thanks so much, guys, for listening, and hope you come back and view more. Thank you.